The question is, do you need a solicitor for a speeding charge? Well, it's fair to say that almost everybody who faces a speeding allegation does not involve a solicitor, and most people won't need any professional legal advice for speeding. But here are a few scenarios that you might find legal advice helpful. The first one is at the beginning of a case where you've received some sort of notification from the police about speeding. That might be a notice of intended prosecution, a section 172 notice requiring you to provide driver details, or even the offer of a fixed penalty or a course. Once again, probably most people won't involve a lawyer at that stage, but if you're unsure about what you're doing, if you need some guidance about completing the documents, or you think the police might have done something wrong and you might be able to challenge the case, then it can be quite helpful to get some legal advice at that stage. I have seen cases where people have completed the paperwork incorrectly and they've landed themselves with more serious charges and made the situation worse. So that's the first scenario. Now, for cases that go to court, there are perhaps three situations where you might find a solicitor helpful. The first one is if you just don't want to face court proceedings on your own. Court proceedings can be daunting, the paperwork can be confusing, and actually going to court sometimes can be a difficult experience. Lots of people are able to handle that themselves. They can deal with the paperwork and they're okay going to court for these kind of cases. But if you're at all unsure about that, then a solicitor can help you navigate your way through the process, and they can come along to court with you, represent you at court and make sure that everything is done properly and that hopefully the case is dealt with in your favour. So that's for all court cases, I suppose. And once again, lots of people will manage perfectly okay without a solicitor at court. There are two scenarios where a solicitor might help. The first one is if you think that you have a defence. In other words, if you think you might be able to beat the charge, it's probably a good idea to get some legal advice before you go down that route for two reasons. Firstly, a solicitor might be able to help you to present the defence if you do have a defence. Secondly, if what you think is a defence isn't a defence, then a solicitor might be able to point that out to you and potentially save you a lot of money, time, and effort, and the stress of going to court. So that's if you're thinking about pleading not guilty and defending the case. Then if you plead guilty, a solicitor might be able to help you with mitigation to try and reduce the penalty and potentially avoid a disqualification from driving. And that could be two types of case, I suppose. In cases where the speed's really high, so think about sort of over 100 miles an hour on a motorway, and then at lower speeds with lower speed limits. If you're trying to persuade the court not to ban you from driving, then a solicitor might be able to help you present your mitigation at court, or prepare your mitigation before court and then go to court and represent you. And then the other type of scenario is if a speeding charge takes you over 12 penalty points, then in order to keep your licence, you might want to go to court and argue that you would suffer exceptional hardship, or in fact other people might suffer exceptional hardship, and you'd need to present evidence to prove that on the balance of probabilities. Once again, a solicitor might be able to help you with that. So collecting the evidence, putting forward the right evidence, making the right points at court, and then presenting the case for you. Once again, lots of people manage to do that themselves quite successfully. So it's not a black and white thing. It's not like you definitely need a solicitor in any of these kind of scenarios, but those are some situations where a solicitor may be able to help in a speeding case.